Good morning. I'm Marilee Rosine Beasley, and I'm going to do a YouTube video this morning. It's going to be a variety of topics. I'm going to touch on things like maybe some ideas for Christmas, things to do with children, and some conservation ideas, and just other things. Anyway, to get started, I love to read books, and I have found that there are a lot of interesting books at Dollar Tree. Now, I got all of these books except for this one at Dollar Tree. I paid $1. Now, the other thing people can do is there are places that donate books, and for not very much money, you can give a little donation and get some books. And you can always get a library card and then check out books, and then they're free. And then I want to show you something. This book right here is a book that I found out about. It's Webster's New World Dictionary and Thesaurus. It's the second edition, and I found out that Supreme Court Justice Antoine Scalia and Brian Garner really like this edition. So I decided to go ahead and get this edition. I thought that if they really like it, think it's a good edition, I thought I would get one too. All right, this is a book that I got recently. It's called Team of Vipers. I started reading it, and it was very, very fascinating. The author, Cliff Sims, apparently started a blog. I believe it's called Yellow Hammer, and he got very good with it, did a lot of interesting things, and he went to work for a while for Donald Trump and at the White House. And he took a lot of notes, and so this book is about a lot of different things and his impressions of what it was like to be there. And it says, My 500 Extraordinary Days in the Trump White House. And I haven't finished the book yet, and I agree. This was an extraordinary time in this person's life. Apparently, Cliff Sims is from Alabama. So that means he's from the South. And I always have a special place for people from the South because my mother is from she is from Florida. I grew up in Oklahoma, and it had enough remnants of the South, so I identify with people from the South. Also people from the North, the West, and so forth, because my dad grew up on the West Coast. We always had friends that were all over the United States, and I was born in Indiana. All right, so just to let you know, these are some things that you might get for children. Also, this book right here, this is a company that used to have a lot of amazing books, and this one is Ideals Christmas. It's got poems and some recipes. It's just really nice, and I found a couple of extra ones, so I'm going to give these away as gifts. Then I noticed this book. It says a queen bee can lay 2,000 eggs a day in the spring, and this is National Geographic for kids. And I thought that was really interesting. And then it's got places that a child could make some notes. And some of you know that my parents were chemists. I've been raised by people that were children of farmers. My mother always emphasized conservation. Basically, I didn't realize it as I was growing up, that I was learning how to be a scientist. And I also have a background in science, and I also have a background in the arts. So I was a piano major. All right, so I want to continue on with something. It happens that there is a store in my neighborhood. They're all over Houston. They're called Specs. And Specs sells many things. They sell coffee beans. They sell wine, beer, all kinds of things like that. They sell snacks. They also have these because they sell cigars. Now, when I was a child, we all found somebody that smoked cigars, and then we would bring to school a real cigar box. And these they have at Specs, and these right here are a quarter. They sell these for $1.49. And what I plan to do is take some of these and turn them into something else. Now, sometimes I just think these are just interesting the way they are. Like, for instance, this just to me had a very interesting pattern. And so I'm just letting you know about an idea. So I like to create eggs. And I've done a video before about taking a chicken egg and turning it into a little Easter decoration and ornament. I put, as I recall, I put some pink velvet, had a little tiny little Easter bunny. I do a lot of those kinds of things with children. I do them at Christmas with a Christmas theme. I like to cover them with red velvet, green velvet, Christmas colors. I also sometimes paint those. Now, something else that I would like to show you is this egg. I didn't do this egg, someone else did, but this is the kind of thing that the group that I belong to, the Houston Egg Art Guild, these are the kinds of things that some of them do. I have not done this particular egg. I can tell how it was done. First of all, this is a real egg, so you have to be very careful with it. So what has happened here that I can tell is that somebody probably spray painted with a light pink because it has such a, even soft color. You can also paint them. There's more than one way to do a lot of this. It is clear to me that what they also have done is they've taken strings very carefully, and they've taken a little tiny string of little pearls. Also, there's one row is rhinestones, and one row is another string of pearls. They've also done that around the top of this. They put a little tiny, beautiful ornament on the top. Now, these stands are things that can be bought, and there's companies that sell these items. There's quite a few eggers even around the world. Okay, now inside, it appears to me what they did is they painted the inside, then they took very fine glitter and glued that on the inside. Okay, and then down here, they've taken some pink satin. They've also taken some trim to cover up the edge, and I can feel that there's some kind of cushion down inside. And there's more than one way to do this kind of thing, but usually, these eggers do whatever works for them. I can also tell that the egger did the same thing here with the row of little tiny beads, then a row of rhinestones, another row of tiny beads, and then there's they finished it out with some gold right here. And these you can buy in these long links, and then they cut it, trim carefully. And they've also put a hinge on. You can buy these little hinges. And there's a little tiny chain right here so that it will, come and easily come back and forth. One thing that I realized recently is that I could take one of these boxes, I could make it a prettier box by painting it, doing something like that, and then I could either, this one, cover the inside maybe, find it, maybe, I have other boxes. These actually have some hinges. So I could pick out one of these, and then I could get some fabric, maybe some velvet, and then I could put this in here for safekeeping, and then I can give this as a gift. This could be in here, make this box look prettier, and for not very much money, I would have a very nice gift. Now, one thing that really intrigued me is some of these actually have hinges, and so, which of course this has a hinge. So that's just an idea of something you might do. All right, now I want to continue on with some other ideas. Some of you know that I'm very much into gardening, and so I like to say things like this because it's possible to put a little bit of soil in here, cut these into smaller pieces, sprout a little bit of a plant, and then you can put these in the ground and they would disintegrate eventually. Something else that I want to point out, I bought some sparkling cider. I got this at Dollar Tree for $1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, and I will put I like to save cuttings of like ivy. I can put this in with water, give it away to somebody, and for, here it is, I'm recycling that. Something else that I thought of recently for a gift for Christmas is that I saw these mugs, and I thought this is even better than a regular coffee cup. So I could put something in here for a gift. It could be maybe dried beans for a soup, something like that. Put a little bow on it, add a little tiny card, and that would be a very inexpensive gift to give to somebody. And this would be useful later on because they could have use this for soup. So these are just a couple of ideas I liked, and I did get this mug at Dollar Tree. You can probably find things like this at other dollar stores, or maybe something on sale. All right. Now, something else that I want to talk about is something easy to make. I made these several months ago, and what I did is I took some pine cones that were on these branches. Now, if you don't find anything like this, you probably could hot glue these to a branch, and then you could and let it dry. And then what you could do is you take some glitter, you take something like a paintbrush, put a little bit of glue, and I start from up here and come down. Then I take something like this that has some fake snow, a little bit of glitter, and then I shake it and start from the top. If it turns out it doesn't seem like it's thick enough, I can just do another coating of the glue. Now, I put a little bit of this even on the branch because I believe that in nature you might see all of this. All right, now I want to show you something. Now, I buy cinnamon, and it could be in something else. This is ground cinnamon. It happens that this has, you can sprinkle it like this, or you can use this other side. What I like to do is soak these in soapy water and get this off, clean the insides really well, let them dry, and put my glitter and snow in here, and then I can sprinkle it. And I will sprinkle it over something like a paper plate. I take whatever that is still there, put it back in here, and use that to sprinkle again. So these are some ideas of things you can do that are easy and not expensive. Now, something else that I like to do is to take other things from nature. These are the pods from a magnolia tree. And these right now are everywhere on the ground. And I collected some leaves, and I've done this before where I've taken a really nice leaf, go through and pick them out, and I've brushed some gold colored paint, that's an acrylic, made that really pretty, and really, pick out a pretty color, and you could put these maybe in a bowl. Maybe you could put a little red bow on this, or maybe for harvest. We're getting into toward the Thanksgiving season, so maybe you could put a bow on here that is maybe something that would go along with the fall theme. And so for not very much money, you could do that. All right, now I want to show you a couple of more ideas, and a lot of you already know these things, but just to remind you that there's lots of things that we can do. All right, so I have these flowers that someone gave me as a gift. So what I'm going to do to keep the flowers fresh as long as possible is I'm going to put in fresh water every day, and then I'm going to snip the bottom like that. Make sure I changed the fresh water, put that down there, and do that for all of these. Then another thing I can do is keep trimming away the things in the leaves that don't look great, and maybe I'll put some of these into smaller containers, and I'll put them in other places around the house instead of this one big one. So anyway, that's just an idea. So I'm, I just love to figure out how can I keep these flowers looking nice as long as possible so that I have bouquets, and I'll just trim the ones that don't look great and just keep using them. All right, now I want to show you something else, something I've been thinking about lately. I eat out sometimes, and what I keep thinking that would make sense, and I've done it a couple of times, is to bring my own containers, or this container I got from a restaurant. So what I'm doing with this container is, I took out what was inside, I'm washing it, and then I will put it maybe in my car, and the next time I go to a restaurant and I have leftovers, I'll put it in here instead of using one of their containers. That styrofoam, that white foam, that I don't think is very good for an environment. Something else that I have had occasionally is a product with this in it, and what I like to do is think about how else can I use this. So this might be something perhaps that I would wash out with soap and water. Perhaps this could have, I could sprout a seed in it, and then when it's ready, just take it gently out and put it in the ground. I haven't tried that yet, but I think that would work. So anyway, these are just some ideas, things that are either very inexpensive, most of these, ways to be more conscious of conservation. Now, I do want to mention something else, and that is I always care about the environment, and I also want to encourage everybody to make sure that you have some dried food, that you have things like rice, canned goods, and a variety of canned goods, maybe some canned pears, canned vegetables, things like that. And so those are things that I would encourage you to think about. Now, I have recently purchased a farm. I'm going to raise some bees, maybe chickens and goats, and some vegetables. Now, one thing that I've been thinking about is what are some things that would be easy to grow that wouldn't take very long? And so there are herbs and things that can be done. And today I was talking to a friend, and she talked about how somebody had shown her dad a long time ago where he took some beans, put those on wet paper towels, and the next day they had sprouted. And I know that a few years ago, chia sprouts were very popular. So it would be easy to buy some little chia seeds, wet them, let them sit overnight, and the next day you probably would have sprouts. And there you don't even have to have soil. So there's lots of inexpensive ways to add to our diet. So I'm going to encourage everybody to think about keeping some beans, dried beans on hand, maybe some chia seeds, just different things like that. Think about what you could grow in a container. I have read recently or seen about growing ginger, which is a root that you can buy at the grocery store, bring it home, get a good piece, bury it in some soil, keep it, moist some, and it takes about 9 months, but then you'd have more ginger. So these are just some tips that might get you to thinking about what else that you might do. All right, well, anyway, I will be checking some of these things out for myself at my new farm. Have a blessed day. Thank you.